All right. You want to know what's better than one Willys truck? It's two Willys trucks. And what's better than two, you might ask? Three Willys trucks. That's what's better. Like I say, you can't have too many Willys. So now we got three Willys trucks here. Y'all have already seen these two to the left. This one to the right, you haven't seen it. That's my brother's 1960 Willys truck. So the red one's a 49, the black one's a 56, and my brother's is a 60. So we're going to do a little bit of side-by-side comparison here, so y'all can actually get the looks going on. So 1960 is the last year of the split front windshield. After this, they went to a one-piece windshield. This is a truck I got out of Arkansas about a week after I got my red 49 out of Arkansas. The floors in this truck are really pretty nice. There's a couple little spots, little holes like that need to be patched, but it's got, I would say, 95% of its original floor. So it's certainly nothing to be complaining about. The bed on it is pretty solid. It's not bad. It's had the floor replaced in it, but they did a pretty good job. The fenders, they're not perfect, but they're not terrible. All the glass in it's not too bad. I think he does need the passenger window, I believe. I think he does. Like you can see, we got some random parts, back of the seat and stuff in it, but the bed itself, the floor they put in it is actually out of a U-Haul trailer. It's actually got a stamp on it up at the front that says U-Haul, and believe it or not, I didn't even notice that this wasn't the correct bed floor until after I got it home, because it matches the original one so closely. So then we'll come around this side. Got a little bit of rot in that tip of that fender. Nothing too bad. You can get replacement rear fenders, but the only ones I've ever seen are made out of fiberglass, and they're pretty high. I want to say they're like $400, $450 a fender. So you come along through here, his side of his bed's good. His cab corners are good. The doors are just immaculate on this thing. They really are just unbelievable. Then we'll go over here on this side of the truck. It's got a little bit more of the floor damage. Just a little bit. That's like a puncture hole right there. But it's got a little bit, but this easily be patched. No big deal. Got a little bit of a hole right there. Easy patchwork. Nothing major. The toolbox floors underneath the seat here, they're good. This truck runs really good. It smokes, but me and my brother argue about it. But I think if we change the oil in it, flush the engine some, go through it several times, I think it'd be fine. Do a valve job on it maybe. Come up here in the hood. It's got the same engine as the black truck that y'all have seen, as the 56. It's a 6-cylinder, 226 cubic inch Willys Super Hurricane engine. It's got the single barrel carb, so since I posted the other video, I've talked to some guys. They've confirmed that the weird carb is a 2-barrel Carter carburetor. That's fairly rare, so that's good news. I didn't realize that it had that until those guys told me. Here's the factory oil bath air cleaner. We've got the lid probably laying in the bed right now, but you got your oil in there. I prefer the kind like in my red truck where it mounts on the inner fender well right here, because this one's kind of a pain in the ass to take on and off of the carburetor. We had a little bit of a fight getting it to sit up there the way it's supposed to, but once it's up there, it's no problem. Filters the air through. I've had guys argue back and forth because on this truck, if you can see, it's got this screened hole right there. These two trucks don't have that, so this truck's a 56. It doesn't have it. My truck obviously doesn't have it. I've heard them argue that this screen right here is for air intake for that oil bath air cleaner. I've heard guys argue vehemently that it's for the horn, that the horn would have mounted there I personally, from what I understand, it's for the air intake, but, you know, you believe whatever you want to believe. I don't see how it could be for the horn. There's no mounting points for a horn right here. It would make sense that it's for air to get in there better to the air intake. Or at least that makes sense to me. We got to do something to the hood latch. These hood latches on these trucks are a little delicate. And this one's jacked. This is to hold the hood down. Basically, it's a safety catch. But the actual hood mechanism, it should be there like on the other truck, is gone on this one. So, let's see if we can lower this hood back down. Even that little safety latch keeps the hood from, if the wind blows, it'll catch it like that. If the latch didn't catch for whatever reason. So what this truck needs, my brother already put brand new tires on it, had the wheels painted. So those are brand new tires. They probably got 20 miles on them maybe. So they look good. We need to clean it up. It's a little dusty. We've had it in a pole shed. He needs to do brakes on all four corners. We got to find him a front bumper, and he wants the front bumper like that's on my red truck over there. He wants that front bumper, so we'll find him a front bumper. They're hard to find that aren't beat all to hell. They're really, really hard to find. Needs to be painted, obviously. He wants the old style tailgate, which is exceptionally hard to find. The early trucks, like my truck, had the WO Willys Overland logo right in the center road. So we got to find one of those tailgates. Even if we can find one that's rotted out, if the logo is fine, we can cut it out and put it into this tailgate. But the tailgate's, it's pretty nice on this truck. Some assholes drilled a bunch of holes in it, but that's pretty typical. For some reason, people, when in doubt, they just pull out drills and start drilling holes in the body panels on older vehicles. It's like, if you ever buy an 80s model Toyota, for some reason, everybody's always reached up underneath the dash with their eyes closed and basically cut all the wires with a pair of scissors. Why do it right when you can do it wrong? So, I think that's a beautiful picture right there. 3 Willys, as Chris Farley would say, pretty maids all in a row. And there's the view of the bed again, so y'all can really see it outside. Here it is. It's really looking good. I mounted a spare tire holder in the bed here for this trip. That's the factory style spare tire holder. Sorry, the sun's really bright. That's the spare tire holder there. So I can have a spare on the camping trip. So if we bust a tire or a tube, then we could patch and keep on wheeling. But basically, these trucks are sick as hell, and you can't have too many of them around. So let me tell you what these trucks are for. All right. Other than just looking badass and as sexy as the day is long. This truck, the red one, that's for picking up women. This truck, this one's for selling purposes, and that's my brother's truck. But we'll see if we can get her to crank up. She runs good. Like I say, she smokes a little bit. But let's see if we can't get her to bust off. Let's see, we'll make sure she's in neutral. There you go. It really does run just amazing. He got a brand new rebuilt carb for it. There's a couple guys that rebuild carbs. They're pretty high, but nobody's making those carbs anymore. You know, guys will put Solex carbs on them, and I'm not a fan of Solex carbs. I think they're trash, the new ones, but there's heated debate over that as well. Some guys swear by Solex. My brother's 42 GPW has a Solex on it, and it does run pretty damn good. I can't deny it, but he's the only person I've ever met in person that said a Solex was worth anything. So there it is running. Like I say, it smokes some, but we could probably get that out with a valve job, like I say, flush the oil system. We got to change the oil pan on this truck because somebody clipped a stump with it or something, and they stabbed a hole in it. So we ended up getting I ended up going down to Tallahassee. Let's see, what's it say on this card? Or on this key, I mean. I think it's a Briggs & Stratton key too. I can't read it, but they always get some kind of weird key in them for some reason. But yeah, anyway, he's got the, I went down to Tallahassee and I bought probably a 62 or 3 Willys wagon. And I just wanted the oil pan off of it for my brother's truck here, but the guy wouldn't sell me just the oil pan. So I bought the whole damn wagon just to get the oil pan off of it. And I ended up getting some other parts here and there, then I sold the wagon. I think he wants to do a disc conversion on it like I did on my truck, just because the brakes on my truck are amazing now. You press the brake and it stops, and it's amazing. Versus, you know, like this one with its brakes working, you stomp the brake, it might stop, it might not. You might have to pump it a little bit, but it'll slow down. But thinking about doing the disc brake conversion on it, and since we've already done it on my truck, now we know what to expect with it. So that'll probably be something we do in the future. And then, like I said, we put the other oil pan on it. We've got it. Put the oil pan on it, put the gasket on it, change the rear main seal. Then get the brakes working, and then you just start sending it to no end, and then down the road have it painted. He wants to have a really good paint job done on it. So we'd have to do a little bit of touch-up body work on it, and then get it painted. Put some decent money into it, because these, basically probably paint it better than it ever looked when it was new. But there's no sense if you're going to go through the trouble of having one painted, taking the bed and the cab apart, and all that. You might as well have it painted the best that you can. So that'll be coming down the road. I'm not sure what color he's decided on it. He's went back and forth. I think he was kind of going for red on the body, and white up here on top of the cab, and maybe white in the inlets of the door, the big inlet. I've seen some of them that were painted red all over and just the fenders were black. That looks pretty good. Basically, they look good hot paint too. They look good any condition to me, so any color he picks is good with me. I know it'll look badass. You don't have to guess. But you just tell me. You try to tell me that ain't sick as shit. Look at all them. Look at that. Look at that right there. Pretty maids all in a row. 49, 56, and 60. So there you go. So like I say, we got to find the bumper for his, and then it'll be sick. His fenders aren't too bad. They've got a little split in them. That's real common. Got the little split. That's what's going on with this truck. Some of that is where they've hit it. Some of it's where it's split. Because these fenders, the truck rattles. That fender moves up and down a little bit, and it just pressure fractures the metal. But for years, I was dogmatic that the V-grill, okay, so this is what they call the V-grill. All right, so it V's out, okay? For years, I was dogmatic that was better than what they call the quote-unquote flat grill, like on my truck. Even though this is technically not flat, it also V's, but it's just nowhere near as drastic. It's basically flat. Couldn't change my mind. V-grill or nothing. The flat grill ain't even worth looking at. Well, now that I've got my truck, I think the flat grill is sick as shit. I'm actually kind of in the flat grill camp now because this looks so much more like a Jeep. Okay, so you've got the very similar grill, really thin, paper thin hood, like a Jeep. The front fenders resemble a Jeep, big and flat. These have a little bit of a ridge to them. They run along the top. They're not perfectly flat. These are. That's why they call this one a Jeep truck. It's actually on the logo, whereas these other trucks would say, four-wheel drive, like on my brother's truck here. This truck would have said that too, the 56, but I think I'm conflicted because they're all badass. But I've gotten where I prefer the red one, but when it comes to Willys wagons and panel vans, I like the V-grill better. So that's why, like I said in the previous video, you just collect them all. It's easy that way. You don't have to pick which one you think's best, because then you just got, 15, 20 of them. You drive whichever one tickles your fancy. And, basically, if I had this truck, a nice Willys wagon, a panel delivery, a Jeepster, you'd have to get up, 2 hours early before you go to work, just so that you could stand in the driveway and contemplate which one of your badass Willys trucks and or wagons that you wanted to drive. You don't want them to feel neglected. You don't want that. So you got to put them on rotation. You drive this one that day, you drive another one another day. It's like smoking a pipe. You never smoke the same pipe more than one day a week. You're not supposed to. It's bad luck. Same thing with Willys. You have a different Willys for every day of the week. So, but that's about it. I just wanted to do a little video, show you all three of them together, give you all a nice look. I'm filming this on my new camera, so I'm really hoping that the color is good and the video is more stable, because this camera has a nice stabilization on it. I'm telling you, you should be here with me. It's sick. Get that look right there. Like I say, picking up women, making money, my brother's truck. All right, you know what I'm saying? How much better does it get? It's pretty sick. If y'all enjoy it, appreciate everybody that watches my videos. If you enjoyed this video, or if you enjoy my other Willys videos or my camping videos, go ahead and consider subscribing. There's going to be a big trip me and my buddy Brian are going on in this truck here in a few days. I think we're leaving on the 13th. We're going up in the mountains, taking this one. The tag office got everything straightened out, so I got the tag renewed for this one finally, because the feds allowed me to do it. So now I'm a good little boy, so I got my tag renewed for that one. So we're all Gucci on that one. So we'll be taking it up there camping. And the plan for it initially, later on, is to put a Bose system on the bed. So it's almost like a deuce and a half. Put bows along through here from the stakes, bow them over to the other side, put a canvas tarp on it, and then sleep in the back of it as an Overland rig. I mean, how could you not enjoy that? But anyway, if you enjoyed this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You're going to get a lot more Willys content. There's going to be, I'll drop this video probably tonight, and then we'll be uploading the other video when I get back from the camping trip. I think that's a 2-day trip, or a 2-day, or a 2-night, 3-day trip. I can't remember which. And if anything goes wrong with that Willys, if anything goes wrong with it, then you'll get that content too. So you're going to get it either way. Whether you want it or not, you're going to get it. Oh yeah, another difference in these trucks that's worth noting is, if you come in here with me, come on. Come in here with me. Look at that gauge. That's what we call a CJ5 gauge, or what I call not the best gauge that Willys ever used. It's not bad looking, it's not bad. It's just not the best one they put in these trucks. All right, so this is 60. I think they introduced that gauge in 59 or 58, I can't remember, one or the other. This truck, 56, this is the middle era gauges. These are my favorite gauges. These are just so much more sick to me. They've got the Willys Overland logo. They've got everything nice and organized. It's nice and badass. All right, so that's the middle era gauges. If you come over here to mine, it's got the first era gauges. Come over here. It's got these gauges. Look at that right there. That's the gauges in this one. Now, I like these too. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, to me, personally, it's not as good as that 56 truck. I really, really like the 56 truck gauges. But that's a little difference between the eras as well. There's not a whole lot of differences, honestly. I mean, obviously, once you get to V-grill, they pretty much stay the same. But they did change that gauge. They eventually changed the windshield. Now, between the 49 and the 56, they went from the small back glass window, like my truck's got. This is the kind of stuff they changed. It wasn't really that big a deal. They would just change shit randomly. So you've got the small back glass, okay? Got that one. You come over here to the 56, it's got a lot bigger back glass. All right, so small back glass, big back glass, and then of course my brother's 1960 has the big back glass. Other than that, you know, they use the same T90 transmission, same Dane 18 transfer case. Some of them have different length transfer case levers. Pedals are the same. Seat setup is the same. You've got your wonderful lumbar support. That's the same on all these trucks. They did change the door handle apparatus, so this is what they kept after my truck. This is almost like a Mustang style, like a 60s model Mustang style latch and whatnot. That's what it's got. And if you come over here to my 49, it has what I think is pretty cool. I think it's pretty sick. Is it's got this button. It's got that little button right there, and this is the door lock. You lock the door with that. But anyway, yeah, it's got that little button there, which is kind of neat. Other than that, they really didn't change that much. You know, they used the same front bumpers. Once they did this grille change, after that, in the back glass, they're pretty much the same. Now, this truck would have had some chrome stripping that would run along this door and break right there at the seam, of course. Come over here, and then it turned down. They did do that. It's a little decorative piece. But mainly the changes, after you get to this point, the changes are engines. So you've got, they had my truck with a 4-cylinder L head. Then they had trucks with an F head in them, which was also a 4-cylinder F head overhead valve. And then they had, there's a 6-cylinder overhead valve, I believe, that they put in them for a little while. Then they went to the Super Hurricane 6-cylinder, which they kept it for the longest time. And then very towards the end, I think the last year of production, or maybe last year and a half of production, they went to the 6-cylinder Tornado 6-cylinder engine, which was the most powerful engine they put in them. It had some design flaws from what I understand, but overall was a pretty decent engine. They had a couple things with them that people didn't like. That something about the way it took in fuel, that it would start leaking and it would leak fuel onto your bearings and burn the engine up. Something, I've never have been around them any, so I don't know firsthand or anything like that. I've never even seen a truck with a Tornado in them, because they're actually fairly rare, because they didn't make it very long with the Tornado. But other guys swear by them, so I don't know. It's in a Willys, it doesn't matter. As long as it's original OEM, I don't really care. But anyway, that's some more little differences they had. Nothing crazy, but little distinct differences that can always get you in a year range. To know what the actual year of the truck is, you'll have to run the serial number. Kaiser Willys has got a pretty decent database of serial numbers to figure out what year they are. We know the years on these because we have the titles for them and the attributes that I've shown you. So we know what year they are, so they're not up in the air. But sometimes you'll get one, the data plate's missing, so you can only get it down into a year range based off of gauges, windshields, and stuff. But anyway, that's the only real major differences between them. But anyway, if you enjoy this, go ahead and consider subscribing. Smash that subscribe button, as they say, as the kids say these days, and you'll get a lot more Willys content coming at you. Anyway, that was just a couple other things I wanted to point out. Hope you enjoy. Red Clay Traveler signing out.